We grow up believing that life is something we must manage, fix, conquer. That with enough willpower we can bend the external world into submission and finally feel safe, worthy, or fulfilled. From childhood, we're handed maps of reality, drawn by parents, teachers, media, outlining where we should go and what we should do to be successful. But what if the map is not the territory? What if the very way we see the world shapes what we experience within it? This is where quantum thinking begins, not with equations but with a rupture in belief. It challenges the deep-seated assumption that reality is objective and separate from us. In classical thinking, we are passive observers of a fixed world. In quantum thinking, we are participators in a world that is being created in real time through our consciousness. That shift, subtle as it may sound, changes everything. Think about it. How often do we feel at the mercy of circumstance, waiting for the right job, the right partner, the right conditions to finally allow us to be happy? We chase and chase, not realizing that we're reinforcing a loop. I don't have what I want, therefore I must strive for it. But in that very striving, we confirm lack, and lack becomes our lived experience. Quantum thinking invites us to pause the chase and question the foundation. What if it's not about getting more, doing more, being more, but about seeing differently? The universe, as quantum physics suggests, is not a machine, but a field of infinite potential, collapsing into form based on how it is observed. It's a dance of energy and intention. You are not a powerless bystander. You are the conductor of the symphony. Imagine standing at a crossroads where every direction is possible, but the path that lights up is the one you expect to see. This is the quantum paradox. We create reality through perception, but our perception is shaped by past conditioning. Until we become aware of this loop, we're not really free. We're simply reliving echoes of yesterday. Here's where things get even more curious. Many people believe they're manifesting by affirming what they want. But beneath the affirmations often lives an unspoken disbelief. I say I want love, but deep down I don't believe I'm lovable. I want abundance, but I'm afraid of being seen. And so, the universe doesn't respond to what we say, it responds to what we are. This leads to a powerful introspective question. Where in your life are you still chasing something you don't believe you deserve? To embrace quantum thinking is to recognize that we're not here to manipulate the world, we're here to master the inner space that gives rise to it. This is not about bypassing real struggle or denying pain. It's about becoming intimate with the inner narratives that shape the lens through which we see everything. When the lens shifts, so does the world. You are not stuck. You are simply entangled in a reality that matches your current signal. But signals can change. Beliefs can evolve. And with every breath, you are standing at a quantum threshold. The next moment is unformed until you meet it with your consciousness. Reality isn't fixed. It's fluid. The question is, are you flowing with it or still trying to force it into an outdated mold? Once you begin to question the solidity of your world, something magical starts to stir. An ancient remembrance that life is not a sequence of hard facts, but a canvas of potential shifting with every thought, feeling, and focused intention. You start to wonder, if reality is truly this responsive, what have I been unconsciously asking for all along? To explore this mystery, let's lean gently into the world of quantum philosophy, not for the sake of scientific accuracy, but for its metaphoric brilliance. In the quantum field, particles exist in a state of superposition, multiple possibilities at once until observed. In simpler terms, until something is focused on, it remains undefined. Possibility, pure and shimmering, waits patiently in the dark. And it's your attention, your consciousness, that turns it into something real. That sounds almost poetic, doesn't it? But it's not just poetry, it's a framework that rewrites how we think about life. Most of us have been taught that if we want to change something, we must act upon it directly. Fix it, force it. But what if being The quality of your awareness, the emotional energy you carry, has more shaping power than anything you do. Think about moments in your life when you were in complete alignment. Perhaps you were confident, joyful, or simply at peace. And somehow, things just seemed to fall into place. You met the right people. Opportunities opened. The traffic lights were green, and time flowed like water. You weren't chasing life, you were dancing with it. That's what the quantum field responds to, not your effort, but your frequency. This field isn't outside of you. It is you. It's the invisible layer of potential that pulses behind your thoughts, your emotions, your stories. And it doesn't judge. It simply reflects. Like a mirror that echoes not what you want, but what you believe. This changes everything. Because if everything exists as a potential, every version of your future, every version of you, then what manifests is not determined by fate, but by focus. When you focus on lack, you collapse the wave into more lack. When you embody possibility, you invite new timelines to arise. Here's the rub: you can't fake it. The universe doesn't respond to forced positivity. It listens to the emotion underneath. That's why vision boards often don't work if they're powered by desperation. They become shrines to what you don't have. The field listens to your emotional truth, not your Pinterest dream. So, ask yourself this: are you imagining a new future while emotionally anchored to your old one? That's like planting seeds in the soil of doubt and expecting roses. You have to water those seeds with belief, presence, and alignment. Take the example of a woman named Clara, who spent years trying to manifest financial freedom. She tried every technique: affirmations, scripting, meditations, but deep inside, she was scared of what it would mean to be wealthy. She feared judgment, responsibility, even success itself. So the abundance never came. Not because the field failed her, but because her signal said, "Not safe." Only when she did the inner work to feel safe in expansion did her outer world shift in response. The field is listening. The question is, what story are you telling it with your being? Quantum thinking isn't a shortcut or a hack. It's a reverent awareness that life isn't just happening. You're shaping it. And the more you trust the field, the more you release the need to micromanage the how. You stop trying to pry open the doors and instead start aligning with the version of you who already lives beyond them. Possibility is not out there. It's all around you, like waves waiting to be collapsed into form by your focus. And once you grasp this, even faintly, you no longer walk through life asleep. You awaken to the dance. You stop asking, "Can I?" and begin asking, "Am I ready to receive what's already mine?" Here's the simplest, yet most profound truth in all of this. Your life is responding to you, not to your words, not to your calendar, not even to your actions alone, but to your observation. You are not merely looking at life, you are observing it into being. And that makes you powerful in a way no one may have ever told you. In the quantum realm, there's a principle that physicists still marvel at: the observer effect. In essence, particles behave differently depending on whether they are being observed. Before they are observed, they exist as a wave of possibilities. But when someone looks, they choose a form. Now pause and think about this as a metaphor for your life. If your attention is always on what's wrong, on failure, on fear, on what's missing, then that becomes the shape your life takes. Not because you're being punished, not because the universe is cruel, but because you are observing one possibility into being over and over again. When you identify as a victim, you perceive more evidence of powerlessness. When you see yourself as a creator, you begin to notice signs of alignment, doors opening, synchronicities blooming like wildflowers in unexpected places. That shift in identity is not small, it's everything. Let's bring it down to earth. Imagine you're watching a movie. If you believe the protagonist is doomed, every scene seems to confirm it. You anticipate their fall, and so you see the foreshadowing of tragedy in every line. But if you believe in their redemption, then every struggle feels like setup for transformation. The story didn't change. You did. Your perception colors the narrative. Your life is that movie, and your consciousness is the lens. There's a man I once knew, let's call him David, who always believed he was unlucky. No matter what good came his way, he brushed it off as temporary or accidental. When something bad happened, he'd say, "Of course, that's just my luck." The result? His experience mirrored his identity. He kept reinforcing that reality through his attention, his emotional tone, and his expectation. He was, without realizing it, observing his life into repetition. It took one moment, just one, where he questioned that belief. Not with force, but with gentle curiosity. What if I'm not actually cursed? What if I've just been recycling a story? And that moment cracked the shell. He began to notice when he was assuming the worst. He practiced shifting his focus, not pretending life was perfect, but choosing to witness the possibilities rather than the limitations. And slowly, the movie changed. This is not magic, it's resonance. When your inner narrative changes, your frequency shifts, and the field responds in kind. So here's a question to sit with. What version of your life are you observing into being right now? Is it the version born from fear, scarcity, and old wounds? Or is it the version pulsing with creativity, expansion, and trust? To be the observer is not to deny reality. It is to realize that reality is not fixed. That your gaze, your emotion, your attention are shaping the particles of your experience into form. That you are, moment to moment, in conversation with the universe, and the language it hears best is your feeling. So observe wisely. Observe with love. Observe as the version of you who already lives in the reality you desire. Begin to notice signs of alignment, even if they're small. Begin to expect goodness, even when it feels unfamiliar. Because the field is listening, and you, dear reader, are the one holding the camera. By now, you may feel the stirrings of something you've always known but never fully trusted. That life is not just happening out there, it's reflecting who you are in here. But what happens when the reflection isn't what you want? When no matter how much you visualize or set intentions, the same patterns keep looping back like old songs stuck on repeat? This is where the work deepens. Because quantum thinking doesn't bypass pain, it brings you face to face with the places inside you that are still hurting, still holding on to stories that no longer serve you. Stories you didn't write consciously, but that run your life like invisible code. We all have them. Beliefs etched into the nervous system through childhood heartbreak, disappointment, trauma. Beliefs like I'm not enough, I'm always abandoned, I have to work hard to be worthy. Or good things don't last. These aren't just thoughts. They're emotional imprints. And until you see them clearly, they become the filters through which the quantum field shapes your reality. You don't manifest what you want. You manifest what you believe you are. Let that land. No affirmation will override a deep belief of unworthiness. You can tape vision boards to every wall, but if your inner script is playing an old wound on loop, your signal will remain the same. And the field will respond not out of punishment, but out of perfect reflection. But here's the beauty. Beliefs are not fixed. They're stories. And stories can be rewritten. There's a woman named Alina who spent her life feeling invisible. In relationships, at work, even in her own family, she constantly felt overlooked. She thought, maybe I'm just not that interesting. But through journaling, therapy, and inner reflection, she uncovered a childhood memory. Being told by a teacher, in front of the class, "You're too quiet to matter." It hit her like lightning. That moment had become her inner script. And so she began to rewrite, not with blame, but with compassion. She didn't try to be loud or different. She simply stopped abandoning herself. She started honoring her presence, speaking her truth softly but clearly, and holding her inner child as worthy, exactly as she was. Within months, she noticed a shift. People started listening. Opportunities found her. The world mirrored back what she had finally begun to see in herself. That's quantum healing. It's not about fixing who you are, it's about remembering who you were before the world taught you to forget. So ask yourself, what silent belief is still directing your life without your permission? And more importantly, are you ready to let it go, even if it's familiar? Because sometimes the scariest thing is not failure, but allowing yourself to receive. Rewriting your inner script isn't a one-time event. It's a daily devotion. A process of becoming aware when the old voice speaks up. See, I knew it wouldn't work. And gently choosing a different thought, a higher truth, even if it feels foreign at first. You don't have to believe it immediately. You only have to begin the practice of seeing yourself differently. The rest follows. Because as your inner world shifts, your signal changes. And when the signal changes, the field has no choice but to rearrange in response. This is not delusion. It's alignment. It's becoming coherent with the version of you who no longer plays small. It's choosing to believe, again and again, that you are worthy of the life you desire. Not later, but now. And so the most radical thing you can do isn't to hustle or prove or chase. It's to sit in stillness. Find the origin of your false belief and write a new sentence. You are the author, and the script is still in your hands. So far, we've peeled back layers of illusion, examined the quantum nature of perception, and begun the sacred task of rewriting our inner stories. But none of it truly transforms our lives unless we live it. This final step is not about waiting for your new reality to show up. It's about becoming the version of you who already lives there. Quantum thinking teaches us that the universe does not respond to our hopes or even our hard work as much as it responds to our vibration, to our emotional signature, to the silent frequency we emit from moment to moment. And this is where many people get stuck. They wait to feel joy until something good happens. They wait to feel love until someone shows up. They wait to feel secure until the money's in the bank. But the quantum field doesn't work on delay. It mirrors you now, not later, not when it's convenient, right now. So what if you stopped waiting? What if you decided to wake up tomorrow as the version of you who already has the love, the freedom, the peace you've been chasing? Not to pretend or to lie, but to practice resonance. To tune your emotional energy to the frequency of your desired life, not by force, but by intention. When you shift your state of being, you shift the energy that the quantum field reflects back to you. Not because you've tricked the universe, but because you've matched it. This is not fake it till you make it. It's feel it till it's real. You become the frequency first, and the external shifts after. Sometimes in subtle ways, sometimes dramatically, but always in response to the you that you're being, not the you that you're wishing for. Take, for example, Marcus, a man who spent years yearning for love, but kept attracting unavailable partners. One day, in total exhaustion, he stopped chasing and started asking, what would it look like to love me like the partner I want would love me? That simple question changed everything. He began showing up for himself, cooking meals with presents, dressing in clothes that made him feel good, saying no to relationships that didn't align. Within months, his energy changed. He wasn't vibrating lack anymore. He was embodying love. And love found him. Not because he searched harder, but because he became it. So ask yourself now, what feeling are you waiting for life to give you? And how can you give it to yourself first? That is the gateway. Becoming the frequency is not about pretending life is perfect. It's about choosing your emotional state as an act of power. You stop reacting. You start creating. You realize that gratitude isn't something you feel after the miracle. It is the miracle. The signal that pulls life toward you in shapes and forms you couldn't script if you tried. This doesn't mean life will never challenge you, but you'll meet challenges differently, with presence, with trust, with the deep grounded knowing that you are in communion with a universe that responds not to noise, but to clarity. And the clearer your frequency, the faster the reflection. You don't have to know how it will happen. That's not your job. Your job is to become the one who is ready, who is available, who is congruent with the life they say they desire. And if you do that, day by day, moment by moment, the world begins to bend. Not because you forced it, but because you remembered who you really are. Not a beggar at the door of life, but the architect of it. So tune your frequency with care, with devotion, with reverence. Not just to get what you want, but because it feels beautiful to live in alignment with your own soul. You are the field. You are the signal. You are the observer. You are the miracle. You've just journeyed through a new lens of reality, one that doesn't ask you to force, but to align. To stop waiting for life to happen and instead become the energetic blueprint of the life you desire. That's the heart of quantum thinking. Understanding that your inner world isn't just a private sanctuary, it's the broadcasting tower of your entire experience. The question now is not, what do I want, but who am I being? Let this be your invitation. Not to chase more, but to become more yourself. Not to wish for miracles, but to embody the frequency where miracles are inevitable. You were never meant to beg life for scraps. You were meant to sculpt it with intention, emotion, and vision. And so I leave you with this. What version of yourself are you finally ready to become, and are you willing to meet that version in the mirror today? Not someday. If this message stirred something in you, let it land. Reflect on it. Revisit it. And if you found clarity, inspiration, or resonance, I invite you to share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for more stories that awaken the truth already living inside you. Until next time, stay aligned, stay awake, and remember, you are the field.